You ever do a project or work on something in life and you feel like you're cursed? I started 10 minutes into this review and I realized I didn't have my mic turned on. So I started over, and about 5 minutes into that one, I didn't hit record on the video camera. So let's do this again. This is Rodimus Prime in its robot mode. Right off the bat, I will tell you that I am a big fan of Rodimus Prime, and so I'm going to skew, I think, a little bit more forgiving than others are on this figure. I really dig this. Like, I love this a lot. That's not to say that it's perfect. Let's get all the way around him so you can see kind of what people are having some issues with. How about the backpack? He's got a huge backpack, people. It's pretty big. But, you know, like, he's not going to sit on my shelf like that. And so the fact that you have an evolved character here that goes from Rodimus Prime, leader of the Autobots, to Hot Rod, to his Winnebago mode, to a deluxe base station, which I'll show you. Very cool thing I picked up from a buddy on Facebook. This, to me, is the total package of Rodimus Prime. Let's get into all the little quirks, because this is a character that I really feel like you shouldn't miss out on. One thing to note, as soon as I took this out of the box, his chest was not fully compressed down, and I didn't know that. I think there are some reviewers that might not realize that too, because what I've seen is that when people try to move the arm, the leg piece right here, which is Hot Rod's leg, it flops all around beyond the little bit of movement that you see there. It just keeps spinning. And when the chest is compressed the right way, that doesn't happen. I'm not even holding the chest. I'm just holding it for stability. But you can see I can do this all day long, and that's not flipping all the way around. These are the legs of Hot Rod as he turns into Rodimus Prime. But the chest needs to click and be compressed correctly. Now, I've also seen people, when it's not compressed correctly, when they move the shoulder joints up, they don't stay. They flop around, and mine don't do that because everything's compressed tightly. I don't have any floor polish or nail polish or no kind of tighteners in there. It just stays properly because everything's compressed down and pushing against it correctly. And it's in there solid, like I can't shake that loose. So you can get a lot of dynamic poses if you want the shoulders up and you want to do some cool poses with the leg and the head. I mean, there's some pretty neat things that you can do with Rodimus Prime, and you don't have to worry about, the shoulder coming loose. Now, maybe there are some loose copies out there. I can't say that there's not. This is the only one I've opened. But I will tell you that my figure was floppy until I squeezed that chest until I heard it click. So there's that. Let's get into the rest of the figure. It's such a great face sculpt. I mean, it's war-weathered. It's Rodimus Prime. He looks like a leader-type face. I mean, he's just kind of intimidating to me. Compare that to what we got in the 80s. There was Rodimus Prime in 1986. And I thought that was cool at the time, but looking at it side by side, it's kind of funky looking, right? So, yeah, I'm very pleased what they've done with Rodimus's face. While we're still zoomed in, you can see that he has stickers on the arms on the top right here. And these stickers are okay. The stickers on the back are not okay. We'll get into that in a minute. All paint here, the Autobot symbol, the flames, the yellow on the front headlights of the chest. A slightly different color yellow here, and I know that bothers some people when you don't have color matched. Again, that's not really ever been one of my things, so I don't even notice it until I'm sitting here trying to talk to you guys about it. But is what it is. He also has stickers on the kneecap and on the shin right there, which are really nice tributes to G1 Rodimus Prime. Again, with my copy, my stickers are coming off. I mean, this thing is, it's super old. But you can see that it's got that same kind of yellow with the stripes, and the yellow and the stripes. And so that's really, really cool the way that they did that. Now for articulation in this mode, his head, again, not on a ball joint. You can only get left and right. You're not going to get any up and down. And that is a little bit of a bummer. The shoulder has movement where the legs create or join into the arms. It's a ball joint right there. You get some swivel at the bicep. Arm goes a little bit beyond 90 degrees. There's no waist articulation. I think that's a bit of a bummer too, but the way that everything kind of has to tab in to create these two modes, I get it. You got a dual joint right here, so you can go up and down and left and right. You also have a swivel right there at the thigh. Knee takes you to about 90 degrees, but because of the backpack, you're going to get some limited movement there. Now, he's nice and stable. He's not going to fall over on your table because of those huge heels that stick out. See how I even have him back in the Michael Jackson lean? And it's looking good, like he's not going anywhere. So there's no danger of this guy tipping over on a shelf. He does come with a weapon, and I love this a lot because the original Rodimus Prime toy came with something very similar to this. So it's his rifle, like this, and it also separates, and you have two smaller weapons, which I really dig. Now, there is weapon storage if you don't want him to hold it in his hand, but which it looks great in his hand, by the way. Yeah, there's some neat things that you can do holding a giant rifle. I mean, it's pretty cool. But on the back, you've got that little peg piece right there, and on the back of the weapon, you see where I'm going with this, right? It's got that little slot right there, and so you can store this right on his back, and so you've got weapon storage if you don't want him to hold on to it in his robot mode. And the weapon's not really heavy. It doesn't add any weight to the figure or anything like that, so you can certainly store it back there if you want. Do have a giant crossbow-looking thing hanging between his legs, but other than that, no problem at all. It's not that bad. So there you go. Let's do some size comparisons and then get him transformed. Here he is with the G1 Rodimus Prime that I've showed you a few times. And one thing I'll say, the new version, Power of the Prime's Rodimus, is huge. He's just a really big figure. So you can see how he scales next to a Deluxe. There he is next to Titan's Return Hot Rod. There he is next to what I consider to be a very excellent Hot Rod. This is the latest Masterpiece Hot Rod. Again, this guy's just massive. And here he is next to what I consider to be an equally excellent update, Power of the Prime's Optimus Prime. These two look gorgeous together. So seriously, if you see these things in the store, you may want to consider picking them up. Anyway, let's get back on with the transformation. Now, transformation's pretty easy, but there is a little bit of quirkiness to it, and getting it into the final stage of his Winnebago, for me on my copy, was a frustrating experience the first time. The directions weren't super clear. No one else really seems to be having this issue, so I don't know if my personal figure had an issue tabbing in at first, but it seems to be easier now. But I'll show you where my frustrations were, and maybe I can save you some trouble. All right, what you want to do is you want to separate the top half from the bottom half. And so I'm going to take the chest piece, and I'm going to open this up. Oh, and by the way, when I did that, it reveals the matrix. And I'll give you a real up-close look at that here in just a minute. But you'll see, you basically see a completed Hot Rod. Squatting. He's doing the squats. But there's an orange joint that's keeping these two pieces connected together, so you just want to pull these apart. There's no release, but you just want to give it a pull. And in my case, it took the whole arm off, so let's get that fixed. Okay, so that's been fixed. That's never happened before. All right, so the arm is back on, and I put the chest piece back down so you can see what to do from here. And we're going to take this other half, this was his body, and we're going to put that to the side for now. So what we're going to do is the first thing you want to do is you want to separate these pieces, the dark red and the light red. That's another thing people have issue with. I don't, because the dark red are the Rodimus Prime pieces, and the lighter red are Hot Rod, and they are fused. I mean, it's a dual character kind of thing. So we're going to go ahead and pull this off. Now, these are in with just a couple of clips, and you just want to give it a little bit of a wiggle, and they come undone. To show you what kind of a clip that is, there you see it's like those little C-clips, and the two little pegs inside of here is what they connect to. So you just want to wiggle that loose. We'll do the same thing, rinse and repeat over here. Just give it a wiggle, and it pops off like that. You can put the arms to the side. All right, now we have this piece. And so what we're going to do is we're going to lift this whole piece up. And by doing that, we're going to cover Rodimus Prime's head. And then you've got two little clips and two little slots there, and they're going to come together like that. All right? Now we're going to come around here. You're going to take these leg pieces, and you're going to fold them down like that. Then there's a hinge right inside of here, and you're going to lift that whole piece out like that. In fact, let's go ahead and just form Hot Rod, and then we'll put him in vehicle mode when we combine him into the Winnebago. Now you're going to take these legs, and you're going to turn them like that. So you're going to turn them. Then you're going to open up the shin and pop out the foot, close the shin. Do the same thing, and you've got the legs formed. Now for the arms, you're going to come into the top, and you're going to get that separated from the top piece. There's a little peg in the joint that fits in there. And then you're going to kind of pull that down a bit. Then you're going to come in here, and you're going to pull this whole top piece down. You're going to pop up, the head's on it's got a joint right here. You're going to lift that up like that. Spin the whole head around, drop it back into place, and pop it back in. Now for the back itself, you're going to take the entire blue piece right here, and you're going to turn it, all right? And then you're going to lift this whole piece back up to itself, so you give Hot Rod his famous wings. And at this point, you're ready to stand him up, pose him up, and here we have a very excellent version of Hot Rod. I think this looks really nice. Not perfect, and I do have a little bit of an issue with it, but let's get into the figure as a whole. The face is incredible. This is a great Hot Rod, and even kind of a great Rodimus Prime. Some people have said that this kind of looks like a Rodimus Prime, and for a classic shelf, maybe this could work for you as a Rodimus stand-in. Going all the way around, he does have this blue windshield that hangs under his butt. Now, there is something you can do if you want to parts form this. You can do that. You can take this whole piece off. This is not official transformation. I believe P.A. was the first person to do this, or he got it from somebody. But you can, this is on a slider joint. You can take that whole thing off, and then you can compress it and then attach it to his back, because there's a little hole right there, and there's a peg right there, and it does peg in. And so you've got an exposed head on his butt, which isn't great. But looking at it from the front, you end up no longer having that blue piece sticking down. So you may want to do that. It's completely up to you. I probably won't be doing that. So yeah, you may choose to do this or not, up to you. Now for his articulation, there's no ball joint. You just get the swivel in the head, so you can owl him all the way around if you want. He does have a ball joint here on his arm, and then there's also another joint, which is a little bit strange, but you can take the entire elbow out of joint, but then he also has an elbow joint. So you can get, you know, because of his transformation, you can pose him all kinds of crazy ways if you want to. There's no waist articulation, but he does have the crotch flap, so you can get his legs up a little bit higher. So you can, if you're into dynamic posing, you can get a couple of neat things here, assuming you're better at posing than I am. Now notice in this mode, I don't have the paint that's coming off on the front because it's a different chest. So the paint on this one for me is totally fine. Now, let's get a closer look at the face. There's that face sculpt, and again, it just looks so good. I mean, it's a beautiful face. Stickers on the arms, paint here on the top, paint all in the chest, stickers on the legs. No real issue with these stickers. Again, the biggest issue I have with stickers on this figure are when he's combined into his Winnebago mode. Now, taking Rodimus Prime's weapons and taking them apart, you can see that you can get some pretty neat, you know, he looks pretty good like that. You can put one in each hand if you want to. This guy just really looks great. I think this is a nice Hot Rod. Let's get him size compared. He's really more of a Voyager scale type figure than a deluxe scale. He's definitely taller than Titan's Return Hot Rod, but much, much shorter than the leader class. You remember when I stood Optimus Prime up to Rodimus Prime, they were the same height. So you can see he takes quite a bit of a dip in size when he's in his Hot Rod mode, as he should. And there he is next to Masterpiece Hot Rod. And there he is next to Rodimus Prime. So you can see how he kind of fits in. Again, for a classic shelf, if you want him to be a Rodimus Prime, you probably could get away with that. Having the giant leader class Rodimus and a classic shelf could work depending on how you have your figures and what your own personal scale looks like. Okay, so to put this into like a base for Hot Rod, and this is so great, and I credit West Lee Dixon Jr. for this on my Facebook group. Just quick shout out to him. I'll put him in the description too. He came up with this idea, and I think it's brilliant. But it turns this into something very useful. And actually, before I do that, let's take a quick look at the matrix. I just happen to be in here. Just pull it out. Matrix looks really good. It's got that yellow, different than Optimus Prime's Matrix. It has more of a darker look to it, more of a G1 cartoon. This still looks good. It's just more yellow for Rodimus. This does come out, lots of light piping in the back, but inside of this, you can put a Prime Master, you can put a head, you can do whatever you want. I won't be doing that, so I'm going to stick this all back together. Let's get the super zoom out. And there we go. So we're right back into shape. We'll go ahead and insert this back in. There's nothing, the cool thing about this is you don't ever have to take it out. Unless you just want to play with the matrix, it can stay in the whole time during transformations and such, and so that's cool. One thing that you'll want to do before we put this into Space Winnebago mode is to take the two arm pieces and connect them together. I should really show you what I did here. These are the arm pieces. And all you need to do is flip the cover over the hands. Squeeze these two pieces together. All right, then come to the top portion here. And you're going to need to leave it like this for the Winnebago transformation. But you just want to slot them in. Just leave these squeezed. Give these a push. And I had them going in the wrong way, which is why it was having a frustrating time. Make sure that the hands are on the side where the yellow piece is right here. Anyway, once you get those tabbed in, what you want to do is you want to separate this piece right here and then open up your flap. You can tab your legs together. Bring this all the way around like that. Put the feet up like that. Bring this piece down, and you've got two little pegs right there, and you're going to peg them in. Then you want to turn this yellow piece around like that. Then you want to come to the bottom, open these flaps. All right, and put that down. And you already see where this is going, right? Now I'm going to take the weapon. Now there's no right or wrong way to do this since this is unofficial. But I like to take this and tab it all together. And since you've got a slot right there, slot it on the top. And you can turn this piece around if you want to have that knot sticking up. All right, and there you have a purpose for your Winnebago piece. It's Hot Rod's War Station. Now, where does this idea come from? I already credited who did this. The original G1 Rodimus Prime, the back of his trailer opened up. This came up. And I think you've got something very, very similar that you can do with the Winnebago when you're not using it fully combined in the vehicle. I think that looks phenomenal. Look at this thing. I mean, just looks utterly fantastic. Now, maybe the designers meant for this to happen. I don't know. But this looks good. And it's cool because the way that these pieces kind of surround his legs when you turn it, Hot Rod turns with it. So I really like that a lot. Now, if you don't want the hands sticking out, and you can put weapons in the hands too, which is super cool. You can weapon the heck out of this thing, which is awesome. If you don't want the hands there, just pull them out. But this way you don't have any extra pieces laying around. You just have Hot Rod and his base ready for action. All right, let's go ahead and get Hot Rod turned into his vehicle, and then we'll combine them both for the super vehicle. Since I disassembled this earlier and never put it back, let's go ahead and do that. Again, it's a simple slider clip. I'm going to put that in there. And it does pop back into place real nice. So there's the official transformation one more time. All right, to get him into vehicle mode, what we want to do is we want to bring this whole thing back down, lift the head, turn it, stick it back down, lift the whole thing up. Put the arms, shoulders back up. Make sure these elbow joints are tabbed back into place. And then you want to put those tabs into the front, so lift those up until it clicks in like that. You're in good shape. Now what you want to do is you want to lift the shin, foot back inside, close the shin, rinse and repeat on the other side, close the shin. Now you want to take this piece, lift it up, turn the whole thing. Now people have a little bit of a tough time with these clips. It's not really that bad as long as you know what you're trying to do. And that is that hole right there needs to go into that clip, and that side piece needs to go into that side piece. So you're kind of putting it in at an angle and then turning. And it's in, and do the same thing on the other side. All right, and now they're nice and tight. Now what you want to do is take these side pieces right here. These are the sides of the arms. You're going to lift that up and clip that into place on the side. There's a tab, and it fits right in. Do the same thing here, and it fits right in. So here's Hot Rod in his vehicle mode, and I think this looks really nice. It's really sleek. It's kind of boxy. It's G1. It's just, it's my cup of tea. Let's take a closer look. Nice in plastic molding on the back piece right here on the spoiler. Lots of nice in plastic molding, really. But yeah, I mean, there's his robot mode. It's all kind of just sitting right there. So not the most complex transformation, but it does get the job done, and it does leave you with a really nice vehicle. Here he is with his Titans Returns counterpart, and not really a lot bigger. He's a bigger robot, and I guess the vehicle is bigger, but not a ton bigger. So there's that. It rolls really well, so no issue with that at all. Now, to get him into his Winnebago mode, super transformed, you want to take the arm pieces and just kind of put them, they're ultimately going to be like that, but for now, just kind of leave them like this. And that's all you need to do right now. Leave everything else where it is. Now, since we made a base out of this, we sort of halfway already transformed it, but I'm going to pull the weapon off. Now I'm going to lift this whole piece. Let's go ahead and collapse these in. We're going to take them out in a little bit. We're going to unclip this piece right here and bring it all the way down like that. We're going to bend the legs all the way up like that. Then we're going to take this piece right here, the top bit, and we're going to close it in like that. Now on the feet, on the back of the feet, you've got 2 peg holes and 2 slots right there, and you do want to tab those in. You also have a peg right here and a peg right there and 2 holes on each side, and you do want to tab those in. Now these have to go in before the feet or you're not going to get a good connection. And this is a scary joint the first time you do it. But get them lined up and then push it in. Put some pressure on it. That's scary. I don't know how that's going to hold up long term, but hopefully it'll be fine. Now you can take the feet and just plug them in. They should go real easy. And so you're ready to combine. Now, keep in mind we already moved this around. This was facing the other way, so we already turned this forward when we turned it into a base. Now, this piece is going to go onto the top of the vehicle, but I found on my copy that it was impossible to do this correctly unless the first thing you did was tab these tabs on the back of the car into the tab on the back of the legs here. And so the best way to do it is to put it on the table and back it right into it. All right, and then push it in on both sides. So concentrate on that first and get that really pushed in there on both sides as well as you can. Worry about the top tab last. All right, then you want to come and take this piece right here and you want to close it up, and there's a tab and a tab hole. So you want to get those lined up too. Again, I would worry about the yellow piece last because the most important thing is that you have these tabs lined up so that you can put this all together. Okay, so once you've got those side pieces in, now what you want to do is you want to collapse this down and you want to hook that side of the tab into the back of this right here, into that piece right there where my thumb is. So you want to get that in, and then make sure that you've got a good connection here, because that's essential to get this done. Do the same thing over here. We're going to pull this out. Now what you want to do is take this piece, and there's a tab right there, or a hook, and there's a place for it on the other side of this chrome bit. So we're going to bring this down and hook it in on both sides. All right, so now that you've clipped piece, 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 go under here and make sure that this is dropped into the slot. If not, you can drop it in after the fact. Just stick your finger in there and get it lined up and push it down. And at this point, you're transformed and ready to roll. Now let's get the weapon worked into place. We can pull this apart. You've got 2 slots on top, so we can put some weapons back there. You can face them whatever direction you want. Put one each way so he's not screwed in battle if someone's behind him and in front of him. Ah, and there he is, his transformed Winnebago. I actually like this. This is a decent vehicle. It's held together really well. You do have a robot underneath, and you know, if you're gonna display him on your shelf, you know, like that, then yeah, probably not good for you. But as just a vehicle, and I probably won't even leave him like this, rolls really well. It looks kind of cool. I'm amazed at what we've done. Keep in mind, we started with this giant Rodimus Prime figure. We've got a hot rod, a battle base, and ultimately this, and I just think it looks really nice. Now, let's get into some of the negatives with this one. All the negatives I have with this are in the stickers. These stickers here are over the top of the plastic. I've already got like gunk up here and like, you know, little hair and glue coming off. It's just awful. It's not good. Come on, Hasbro. Now, you know, there are some other issues. You've got this kind of yellow paint, which is kind of cool. It's a darker yellow. It kind of matched his forearms, if you remember Rodimus's inside forearms. Kind of similar paint. Brings out a lot of the detail, though. Let me darken my camera a bit. So you can see all the detail that comes out in this, and it just looks really nice together. But man, those stickers are just killing it for me. I've already got some wear here where the joint is, and you can see on this side how they're kind of sticking up over the piece. So not great. Could it have been done different? Yeah, they could have cut it correctly. They could have let us put the stickers on. They could have made it paint, but I guess this is the cheapest thing that they can do. There he is next to Titan's Return Hot Rod. There he is next to G1 Rodimus Prime. Pretty significant size difference here, as you would expect. Now the exhaust is a little bit silly because it, you know, kind of doesn't connect in, so I don't know what he's exhausting, but neither did any of them. You can see this one, it's a separate piece as well. So there's that. Very similar looking, you know, general idea on what they've done here, including underneath the figure. Very similar the way he sits in there. So very cool. I do like this mode. Again, am I going to display him this way ever? Probably not. But for what it is, I don't know. I say probably not. Maybe every so often for something different, I will do just that. Things I would have liked to have seen different on this mode. The yellow could have been maybe a better match to some of the other yellows. The wheels, I hate wheels like this. Kind of unforgivable. But, you know, you've got those pegs showing. Maybe if you painted them, I don't know. Might be a better look. But all the rest seems to be all right. Fists are exposed if you're looking at it from underneath. But I'm not looking at it underneath, and so, again, doesn't really bother me. Overall, not bad. All right, so this was a long review, but we had a lot to cover. This is a very complex figure, and he and Optimus Prime, that both came out as leader classes in the first wave of Power of the Prime's leaders, both of them are excellent figures. I'm going to do a review of Optimus Prime as well, so be on the lookout for that. But overall, Rodimus is fantastic. I am in love with this figure. He's fun to play with. He's fun to transform. Both of his modes are great. The battle mode is super awesome. Nice bonus. Thanks again for the idea on that. But I really just, as a fan of Transformers who grew up with Transformers in the 80s, I feel so fortunate to have these figures that have been redone in the current Power of the Primes. I mean, I think Jazz was pretty good. The Dinobots are great. The leader classes here are fantastic. I'm over the moon happy with these releases that we've gotten, and I'm just very, very grateful as a fan and a collector. Anyway, thanks again for watching eBEFOREi Video Reviews. You can catch all of my reviews on youtube.com/eBEFOREiNet. Pass the word on to your friends and buddies. I do this as a hobby, but I appreciate each and every view and comment. If you like what I do, you can help me in a few ways. Thumb up the video. Even if you don't like the character, thumbing up the video tells me that you like what I do, and it helps out my channel a lot. Also, if you're not a subscriber, please consider subscribing to my channel. All subscribing does is it lets you know when I have a new video. Make sure your notifications are turned on. There's a little bell on the video page, and you just turn on notifications, and that way, when I post something new, you'll know about it. You can also subscribe to me on social media. I'm at facebook.com/eBEFOREi. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at eBEFOREiNet. And I have a Facebook group where I talk about all kinds of toys, post pictures, do #DeskBots, all kinds of neat stuff, and so I'll put that in the video description. Thanks again for each and every one of you. I appreciate it so much. We'll see you back here again real soon.